Alright, this is my homemade ultralight slow flyer made out of 3/4 inch pink foam insulation from Home Depot. About 2 feet by 8 foot sheet, costs $6 something. So this one has been out on 4 flights now, and the first 2 flights, the first time it was out, it was a little tail heavy and kind of flew with its nose up and was a little harder to control than I wanted, so I added a block here to move the motor forward about 1 inch, and that made it perfect. It almost flies itself now. You can see it's a real simple design, just big dihedral on the wings, makes it real stable, easy to fly, and I wanted to build a plane as cheap as I could without spending any more money than I had to. A gearbox out of another Megatech plane that I had that never flew right. The fuselage is just a 3/8 by 3/8 piece of maple. The wings here are this pink foam from Home Depot, and I actually put a shape on the wings using a hot wire cutter. I cut 2 patterns out of wood and taped them to the ends of the square piece there, and ran the string along those patterns, and it came out pretty rough. But the thing about this stuff is you can sand it with regular wood sandpaper, even a palm sander. That's how I got the wings shaped a little nicer. And then I painted it with latex paint, which you can't use a solvent-based paint like spray paint or it'll eat the foam, which it kind of did here because I had to use a spray adhesive to get the tape to stick. Once I painted it with latex, I found out that tape won't stick to the latex paint, so I had to use 3M spray adhesive to hold the tape, because I used that to hinge the rudder and the elevator as well. The wings are just held on with rubber bands on dowels that I epoxied to the maple fuselage. When I put the wings on, I have 2 little plywood pads that they sit on, and I put a small duct tape donut on there just to keep them from shifting before I put the rubber bands on. And there's the fuselage. The battery's just kind of temporarily stuck on there with duct tape right now because I wasn't sure where I needed it to get the right center of gravity, but now I have it. It flies perfect the way it is. Servos, little mini servos that I actually just epoxied some popsicle sticks to the fuselage and then screwed them to that. The wire to run the tail and rudder is actually a roll of wire for pin guns that make the pins out of a long roll of wire. And I just bought some little hooks, for the the control surfaces. Popsicle sticks also hold the fins on, and then I kind of put 2 popsicle sticks coming down through, drilled a hole in them, and then there's some pieces that go through there to hold that together. The radio is just stuck on with double-sided tape, as well as the speed control. This is the radio out of a Wild Hawk 3-channel that I got the radio system off eBay for $10. This is an 1100 milliamp battery. It weighs about 5.5 ounces. So with it right there, it bounces perfectly. That giant nut I added on when I was trying to move the center of gravity forward. And it weighs probably about 1.5 pounds, maybe closer to 2 pounds flying weight with the battery. Now these control arms look like crap because they came off of a roll, and it's really hard to get it to straighten out right since it was wound up, but they work great. They're real strong. No problems. Glides in for just a perfect landing, just really smooth and easy to land, even in grass, which is where I landed it the last time. So we're gonna have some onboard video and some flight video of it. The landing gear is off of the same plane that I got the gearbox from. The plane, I could never get it to fly. It was a Megatech Capital Flyer, and this landing gear had black foam wheels on there, so I just stripped the foam off of the hubs and hot glued these 1/8" thick pieces of plywood on, which works great. Little tubes that keep the control arms where they need to be are epoxied on. There's a ton of thrust, runs real smooth. It really does great. The wings are actually just hot glued to this central foam block here that I sanded on an angle. The back of the wings are taped because they're so thin there that they would chip out really easy. There's no issues of it. This stuff's pretty flexible. This is my hot wire cutter with the guitar string. It's wide enough to do the wings. Just the string is stuck in there with the screw on that, and this is made so it can't turn. There's one screw in there and one to keep it from turning, but this one only has one screw so that it can move, because when this wire heats up it stretches, so you have to pull it. You have to kind of pull it tight, and the cut, like I said, comes out like crap. You have to sand it, but it gives you your basic shape. This is the battery charger I use. It's only a 6 amp, so it's kind of slow. It's an old one. Slow going through the foam. You just have to take your time, but most people I've seen that do this use like a 15 amp, which would go through much quicker. Then I just clamp one wire to this screw here. Now it's powered up. It'll just slice right through it. Makes a nice clean cut. Paid $6 and something for this piece of foam and only used like 1/3 of it. Got these little cheap servos from Hong Kong for like $1 a piece. They work great. Use popsicle sticks. Paid $1 something for the horns, for the controls. Had the parts for the motor. Had the battery and the landing gear, and the radio I paid like $10 for, so pretty cheap plane to make.